Good morning. It's 8:30 if you're watching the clock on a Wednesday, and we're here with Charlie O'Hara to answer any and all of your legal questions. Charlie, thank you for coming in.
Sure, great to be here.
Eve.
Merry Christmas Eve to you.
Appreciate it. Let's get to our first call. Caller, what's your question for Charlie?
Yes, I was calling to find out how would I go about trying to get visitations for a 17-year-old girl, my daughter. She's with my ex, and here lately I haven't been able to see her very much. And I didn't know how I would do like a visitation type of thing.
Well, every parent is supposed to be able to have visitation with their child. Now, there's exceptions to that. I mean, obviously, your own behavior can affect that. If you don't have anything to do with the child, if you don't support the child, and different things like that can probably affect some of your visitation. But every parent should be able to have visitation. If your spouse, your ex-spouse, will not give you visitation, you're going to have to go to court and get that. Usually the best way to do that is to have an attorney go in there. You can do it yourself, but anybody that gets in there by representing themselves usually gets themselves in kind of a mess. So it's always better to have an attorney, but if it's your child and they're under 18, you're entitled to visitation. You should be able to go to court, and you should get visitation. I can't tell you how much you'll get. It'll depend on what the judge thinks is reasonable under the circumstances, but you should get visitation. Okay?
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Second caller, what's your question?
Oh, yes, I was accused of doing drugs and actually cooking it, and I was found not guilty of this. And I was wondering if it's defamation of character.
Well, defamation of character is really where someone intentionally does something with no evidence to support it and says something against you just to hurt you. It doesn't happen very often. Obviously, for famous people, it's very, very hard to get because we have all these tabloids around talking about rumors about famous people without anything to really support them. If you went to trial, there was evidently some evidence, at least enough evidence to have probable cause. So usually in that instance, there's not enough for defamation of character. If you're not guilty, you're not guilty. You didn't do it. If people think you did it because you're charged, that's not what the law says. That's not how our system works. We all have to go through life with people saying bad things about us without support. That's kind of part of life, so you have to kind of throw it aside and go forward. I don't think you really have a viable defamation of character case.
How difficult are other cases to prove? I don't know how often you see those.
Well, hardly ever, actually. I think most people, they get their feelings hurt and people say things about them and they want to get even with those people. Usually filing a lawsuit actually makes the whole situation worse, quite frankly. The people that hadn't heard about it now begin to hear about it. So it isn't usually a good thing to do. There are instances where it applies when someone does something with malice that they want to really hurt you and there's nothing to support it. That can happen. Most people, as I said, when we go through life, understand that people can say bad things about anybody. That doesn't mean it's true. And we all need to judge people on their own character and all what people say about them.
Well, with the use of social media, with Facebook and online, does that make it easier or more difficult to prove defamation of character? I mean, is that sort of a proof in itself that if you post something on a social media site, that can sort of go against you if you're the one posting it?
Well, it really could if it was really going to damage you, but to prove very many damages from it, as I said, there are just so many people are always saying bad things about people, and social media makes it worse. We all have to take everything with a grain of salt and realize that just because someone says something doesn't mean it's true, and we all need to really judge people, especially in this season, on what they do, not what everybody says about them.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. We're out of time right now. Of course, if you have a legal question for Charlie, he's in every week, so you can call in. But right now, we're going to take a break. Merry Christmas Eve. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.